We know one thing, no matter what, the Atlanta Braves will head out of town after today's game in first place. What they'd like for their parting gift is one more win over the Phillies before leaving Turner Field. So, can a red-hot Troy Gloss and a resurgent Derek Lowe carry Atlanta to a sweep of Ryan Howard's Phillies? Join us on Sports South for a great afternoon matchup as the first-place Braves try to run down the fighting Phillies. It's a perfect day for a ball game in downtown Atlanta. A business fan special and all year long. Braves baseball on Sports South is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff, and the low price. A perfect day means a chance for a perfect homestand for the Braves. They try to go 6-0 and sweep the Philadelphia Phillies here at Turner Field. And good afternoon, everybody. Chip Carey and Joe Simpson. A rainy night last night for the Braves. Well worth it. Can Derek Lowe keep momentum in the Braves dugout today?
Derek Lowe's been pitching lights out lately, Chip. He's beat the Pirates the last two starts that he's had. And he's going to try to keep it going after some good starts, 4 of them in all, where he's gone 3-1 and an ERA under 3. He's cut down on his walks. He's had some faster innings. He's not having to throw quite as many pitches. And his last start against the against the Pirates, a good one. He went 7 innings, gave up only 4 hits and 1 run. And again, you can see in that walk column, only 1 walk. He is attacking the zone a little better with his sinker. He's not throwing quite as many sliders, getting a few more ground balls, and that's really paying off for him. Let's hope that happens again today.
Longtime Braves nemesis Kyle Kendrick will pitch for the Phillies. He has 27 lifetime wins. 4 of them have come against the Atlanta Braves, and we don't want that to happen this afternoon. It's a hot, steamy day for a ball game at Turner Field. Braves try to head out of town 2.5 games in front of the slumping Phillies. Starting lineups and our first pitch from the Ted coming right up. Time to play a little baseball here at the sauna that is Turner Field in Atlanta. Derek Lowe is on the mound, and Jason Worth leads off and takes a called strike in the final game of this three-game series. It has been a struggle for Worth of late. And Charlie Manuel, Joe, has tried just about everything he can to jumpstart this Phillies offense. For the first time this year, Jason Worth is batting first in the Phillies lineup.
Doubled his last time up last night. That snapped an 0 for 20, but he's still just 1 for his last 22 with 12 strikeouts. So it's not just not getting any hits, it's not making any contact.
He's ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike, and now Lowe behind 3-1.
Gotta say, Derek went out to the mound early today. He was almost a blur warming up. He was rapid firing his warm-ups. Let's hope he's not in too big a hurry.
Worth right on top of the plate. Drives that ball well to right. Jason to the edge of the track. And there is your first out. Phillies have lost 3 games in a row and 10 of their last 14. And these guys are the problem right now offensively. The Phillies getting very little production, but they're hoping for a big day from Chase Utley, who has hit Derek Lowe very well.
Derek Lowe's numbers against the Phillies this year, ugly. He's made 2 starts against them. 0-2 with a .990 ERA, 10 innings, 17 hits, 12 runs.
Wilson Valdez, filling in for Jimmy Rollins, has swung the bat well the last week and a half. And the Phillies don't know when Rollins is going to come back. He's not ready to resume baseball activities quite yet.
And they miss him.
And they miss him, and they miss Polanco too.
Big time. 2 big parts of their batting order, number 1 and number 2 in their order.
Polanco's out with an elbow problem, cortisone shot he'll try to play on Friday.
4 keys to pitching success for Derek Lowe today. Turn things around, your fortunes around against these Phillies. His career number 6-3, but 0-2 this year, and a sunny disposition. That's Derek Lowe, because he's 3-0 this year in day games.
That ball danced out of sight, and Valdez is retired quickly. 2 men up and 2 men down. You mentioned Derek's numbers in his last 4 starts, Joe. Why has he been more successful in his recent work?
Well, attacking the zone a little more. He's not throwing near as many sliders. He's using his sinker more and getting a lot more strike ones at the beginning of a count. And it shortened some innings for him. And again, pitched 7 innings against the Pirates. Probably could have gone longer if Bobby Cox wanted him to.
Chase Utley bats. Utley hitting 3rd today for Charlie Manuel. He has 10 home runs this season. Shocking when you look up and down the Phillies stat sheet to see 1 man in double figures in homers.
And all of them at home, not on the road.
And you know the Phillies desperately want to win this game if they can, but more than anything else, they want to get home. I mean, this has been an awful trip for them. They've gone 2-6 so far on this trip. They have an off day tomorrow and try to regroup at Citizens Bank Park. What a tough assignment. Derek Lowe and the team in Atlanta that has the best home record in the league at 18-6 facing them in the series finale. Now McCann and Lowe want to get together.
This may have to do with being ahead in the count and knowing that Utley's hit Derek pretty well in his career, and he doesn't want to make a mistake here. Utley, Howard, and Worth, who are normally their 3, 4, and 5 guys, combined since May 18th, they're hitting a collective 196 with just 4 homers between them. That's 27 hits and 138 at bats. Middle of their order, really cold. Worth leading off today.
And not only just 4 home runs, 10 RBIs for those three guys in a 2-week period. I mean, we've seen Utley, Howard, and Worth have 10 RBIs each in a 2-week stretch. So take advantage while you can, Braves. Trying to subdue the Phillies. And that one up the middle. Escobar had Utley played perfectly, and Derek Lowe gets his first ground ball out of the day. 3 up, 3 down for the Phillies. Kyle Kendrick to the mound in the first inning. Between Brian McCann and Eric Hinsky has feasted a great May and a terrific run the last 3 games. Homers in each of those ball games. Escobar's bat heating up, then it's McLouth, then it's Lowe, and there's Kyle Kendrick.
Got off to a horrible start, did Kyle Kendrick, but has turned it around like several of the Braves players. 5 May starts, he went 3-1. Got no decision against the Braves back on April 20th, but he went 8 shutout innings. 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. He's 4-1 lifetime against Atlanta, 2-0 in this ballpark. Sinker slider guy. His 4 keys to pitching success today. He's got a good cutter and a good slider. He'll need them today to snap the Braves' winning streak, but he's got some day game issues. A very high ERA for day baseball. So maybe the Braves can capitalize on that, much as Derek Lowe can capitalize on his 3-0 record in day games.
A ball and a strike to Martin Prado, and a shot to right will drop for a clean single. Prado with 72 hits leads the National League, and boy, has he been wearing out the right field pasture.
Seems like every game he leads off with a base hit to right. Hanging slider there from Kendrick, and Prado picked on it.
Jason Hayward bats now, looking for his first base hit of the series. Jason comes into today's play 4th in RBIs in the league, and a hit and run is on, and that's going to drop. Braves have him 1st and 3rd with nobody out in the opening inning.
Braves are tearing it up in the first inning overall, Chip. Outscoring their opponents by a wide margin, and Bobby Cox putting some pressure on Kyle Kendrick early on here today.
It's an RBI chance for Chipper. He's got 6 hits on this homestand for the Braves.
Braves have outscored their opponents 32-18 in the first inning.
And I would guess most of, if not all of that damage has been done in May. Some of it last night too, but remember how many opportunities in April the Braves had to put runs on the board first couple of innings and seemingly couldn't get that big hit. That's not happening for him now, and that's one reason why they've gone on this incredible roll. 22-8 are the Braves since that 9-game losing streak. Ground ball hit toward Utley. It'll be a double play, but it will get the first run of the game home. Close play at first. Martin Prado comes across, and Atlanta scores first. It's a 1-0 score.
No RBI on a double play, and it looked like Chipper went after a bad ball here and rolled over it. He got a run in, but this is similar to the 4-6-3 he rolled into last night, his last at bat, trying to pull an outside pitch, and you can see his top hand coming off the bat just kind of rolling over the top of that pitch.
So the Braves score first again for the catcher Brian McCann. He's at 261. And the way the Phillies are swinging the bats, every run that comes across, you can just see the anvil on the shoulders of that offensive club getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Towering fly ball to center. Worth will drift back a step or two, and he'll make the play. Braves get back-to-back singles and score the game's first run on a double play ball. 1-0, Atlanta the lead. Back at Turner Field, Braves off to a good start. They score another first inning run, and as always, our Braves broadcast on Sports South is presented in beautiful high def by H.H. Gregg. Braves rolling merrily along at Turner Field. You'll see how well they've been playing on our Academy Sports and Outdoor leaderboard.
Best record in baseball at home at 18-6. Braves will head west to take on the Dodgers and their good home record after today's game.
There's nothing better than winning on getaway day. It's a long flight for the Braves out to the West Coast. Let's see if they can complete a perfect homestand. Swept the Pirates, trying to sweep the Phillies.
Lots of breaking balls for Mr. Howard. I tell you, last night that was a very tense moment when he was facing Billy Wagner representing the tying run in the ninth. Power against power, and Ryan went up there hacking. Wound up grounding out to end the ball game, but he didn't go up there feeling for the ball or waiting for a good pitch to hit from Billy Wagner. He knew that he might be under the gun if he kept waiting, so he was up there swinging and swinging hard.
Howard stuck on 9 homers, 35 driven in. Did hit one last night. That's the other thing we talked about. That long homerless streak for the Phillies was snapped with Ryan Howard's shot.
Yeah, it's 68 innings. It's the longest since a 73 inning drought back in '99 for them.
There's a line drive to right. Jason Hayward gallops in. Big top spin sinking line drive, and Howard is out number 1.
We've talked all spring long about Jason Hayward and how well he's hit the ball, how much he's come through in the clutch, run the bases. But you know what? We haven't seen the best of him in the outfield yet. He hasn't really been tested that much, and he certainly haven't tested his arm. And maybe because even on plays like this, he kind of makes them look routine. Good jump, good speed, and a good read off the bat.
Well, so often you hear people talk about 5-tool players. Jason appears to be one of those guys as Francisco takes a strike. He can run, he can hit for power. He's got a very good arm. Takes those big strides in the outfield, covers a lot of ground. Only made 3 errors. And we talk so much about how difficult it is for a young hitter to go through the league the first time. I guess the same is true defensively. Nobody talks about that.
Well, mostly adjusting to new ballparks. Never played in a ballpark of these heights and sizes, and it can be a very difficult adjustment from a depth perception standpoint, just reading the ball off the bat. Wait till he gets to LA this weekend, those 7 different levels they have at that stadium.
Ben Francisco behind the count, and he'll have a seat. Second strikeout for Derek Lowe, and 2 men are out.
Slider there, and not the hard slider, but a good one. Well located, started at the middle of the plate, and then had it break away from him. Made it look like a strike, and then took it away.
Left fielder Raul Ibanez bats. He's at 247. Lifetime against Derek Lowe, just 4 hits and 31 tries. So you like the chances in this second inning matchup if you're the Braves pitcher.
Let's face it, the Phillies are trying to find some formula right now to snap them out of these doldrums, even to the extent of Charlie Manuel putting Jason Worth in the leadoff spot today. They just want a couple of guys to start swinging the bat like they're capable.
And hey, the Braves have been through it.
Yeah.
Atlanta went through it too. Every team does. And if the old saying that we've talked about, if the bubblegum card reference applies to the Braves, it's going to apply to the Phillies. They'll break out of it. Just hope it's not today. That's hit toward left. Hinske on the run. 3 up, 3 down again. Lowe perfect through 2. Stake to an early lead of 1-0. As we head to the bottom of the second inning, you've got a chance to be a part of our ball game. Log on, register, and join other fans in the game lounge where you can be a part of that live chat. You'll find exclusive photos and behind-the-scenes footage all right now on FoxSportsSouth.com. Nobody covers your team like our team. FoxSportsSouth.com.
Wonder what they're chatting about.
Well, I can promise you one thing they're not chatting about is Gary Matthews and his gigantic tray of peach cobbler that he's guarding in the press lounge right now at the ballpark. Troy Gloss had a great May and started June in fine fashion last night too, didn't he?
Just May 32nd last night,
yeah.
33rd today.
I like it. 3 homers in the last 3 games. The bouncing ball is foul at third.
Very good homestand for him. Sunday in the seats. Monday seatage. Last night rainage. And it brought even more rain.
Seatage? Breaking out all your A material before we hit the road, huh?
Last day of the homestand, had a whole bunch of them saved up.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Lost up to 40 RBIs. That's good for a second place tie in the National League.
To say he's come a long way would be an understatement from where his season began, especially with all those strikeouts that he was taking on. Holy cow.
Hey, that's my line.
Yeah, that's a family heirloom that I need to stay away from.
Got to get the coffee can with a quarter or something.
Yeah. It's an interesting pitch.
Remember, Polanco got plunked by Tim Hudson. Maybe that one got away. Maybe it didn't. And to your point about Gloss, on May 5th, he was hitting .226 with 2 homers and 14 RBIs.
Goodness.
With 23 strikeouts. High pop fly foul.
What was the date?
Cinco de Mayo, which I think is May 5th.
Okay. Then shortly thereafter, less than a week later, when the team went to Milwaukee, was when Bobby Cox moved Prado to the leadoff spot and Hayward to the number 3 for one day and then number 2 spot. And then all of a sudden, Troy's fortunes turned around, as did Chipper's and McCann's, because they had guys on base in front of them all the time.
Tried to tie him up inside. But since that time, I mean, in a month span, Gloss goes from 23 strikeouts to only 19 in about a month. And a ton more contact.
And a ton more confidence, too.
Full count pitch. And driven foul again. The other thing about Gloss that I'd like to get your thoughts on is Mike Scioscia's clubs with the Angels are very aggressive base running teams. They've always preached first to third. This guy, for a big physical specimen, runs the bases well, and he might be able to jog around the bases. Will he be 4 for 4? At the wall, it's brought back by Ibanez. All that prevented a 4th home run in as many days was a leaping try in left.
What a play by Ibanez. Had he been able to get back to the fence a little faster, he might have caught this ball. But timed his jump perfectly and then had it right in the web of his glove. And sometimes the web can act almost like a trampoline and flip the ball back. And that's what happened there. But it definitely would have been a home run. Great effort by Ibanez.
So for Gloss, an 8-game hitting streak. And he missed a home run by that much. Here's Hinske. But I think this is one of the more aggressive base running Braves teams we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I like the way they've been going first to third lately. It's been fun to watch.
And here's the other guy that was placed in the lineup for Bobby Cox.
Yeah.
paid big dividends.
Same time, roughly the same time, and that was in Milwaukee. Hayward moved up. Hinske moved in.
And Eric from Menasha, Wisconsin, was a masher against that Brewer Ball Club. Had a very good series and frankly hasn't stopped hitting since. He's at .337 with 22 runs batted in. And over the inside corner, Hinske didn't think so. So Gloss at second, one man down. Was it a strike?
Well, the one thing about Kendrick with his sinker is you can't give up on it. His ball tail is a two-seamer that Fox Track says did catch the inside corner, and it did back up some. Good job by Snyder to frame it. And certainly Eric wasn't happy with the call because he wanted to get Gloss over to third base.
Well, let's see if can do that or bring him home. His bat is alive and a liner back to the mound. And in self-defense, Kendrick starts an inning-ending double play. Escobar hit it right on the button, and Kendrick saved himself and the Phillies another run. By the way, so did Ibanez. Academy Sports and Outdoors, the right stuff and the low price. Well, a wonderful defensive inning for the Phillies a moment ago. Ibanez robbed Troy Gloss, then Kendrick starts a 1-6 double play to keep this game 1-0 in favor of the Braves. And in the Phillies' third, Dobbs, Schneider, and Kendrick are coming up. Eric Lowe has set down the first 6 in order.
Here's part of what's been going wrong for the Phillies, not Greg Dobbs specifically, but when they're missing Rollins and they're missing Polanco on the left side of their diamond, nobody has really stepped up for them. And if you make a comparison to last year when they really didn't have that many injuries through 51 games, they're 50 runs short of where they were last year. They're 24 homers short, and they're making twice as many errors. They don't have anybody filling in for those guys and filling the void like the Braves have had with their strong bench when Infante filled in for Chipper. Hinske filled in at times before he got into the lineup. Braves bench far superior to this point.
And that's where you have to tip your cap to Frank Wren. He knew the bench had to be upgraded, and it has been. And to your point about the Phillies, 10 different players have been injured this year for them. Jimmy Rollins not once but twice with that calf problem. Jay Happ, a forearm strain. He's getting closer to starting to throw. Ryan Madsen kicked the chair, broke his toe. That was
smart.
a real bad injury. Lidge has been DL'd twice. Schneider, who's playing today, has had an Achilles problem. J.C. Romero, Joe Blanton, Juan Castro, Carlos Ruiz, Polanco have all been hurt. Those last three guys, though not DL'd, but hurting. And another strikeout takes care of Dobbs. Boy, they are swinging at everything and missing a lot. Third strikeout for Lowe.
That looked like a sinker and a hard one. Got Dobbs to chase it. Really didn't have much of the plate. In fact, it never had much of the plate, if at all. But an example of what the Phillies' utility has been like offensively.
I know we've talked about it in the case of Nate McLouth or even Yunel Escobar when their struggles were at their worst or still continued. Do you as a hitter subconsciously think, I'm trying to hit 300 with every at bat?
We saw it happen with the Braves, Chip. I mean, they were doing the same thing. Some guys were trying to do too much.
Schneider takes that ball up the middle, and that's the first hit of the game for the Phillies. A clean one-out single from Brian Schneider. The Atlanta Track Club is partnering with the Braves to bring the annual Father's Day 4-mile race to the TED on Saturday, June 19th. Your race entry also includes a Braves game ticket and t-shirt. Celebrate Father's Day by crossing the finish line on the field. Register today at atlantatrackclub.org.
It's a 4-mile run.
Senator Baker.
I was just thinking about a relay.
Yeah? Well, you and I can do the first 50 feet. We'll let Baker take it the rest of the way.
You know, Dave's a lot like Troy Gloss. As John Smoltz described Troy Gloss last night as the big donkey. Dave could fall into that category, but you get him going one direction, he's hard to stop. Downhill, yes, Dave.
One ball, one strike to Kyle Kendrick. And he brings Chipper in and slugs a base hit past him into left field. Nice piece of hitting for Kendrick. That's his first hit of the year.
Yeah, he was 0 for 16 on the year, and look what he did. Pretty nice work here, drawing in the infield. Never would have expected him to swing away because of his poor hitting. But he did exactly what that play is designed to do. Pull him in and then slap it by him.
Oh, we've seen too, sometimes your defense will spark your offense. Maybe that's what's in store for the Phillies today. Two great defensive efforts. Kept it at 1. Now Worth is up with a chance to do some damage. Worth line to right his first time up. He is 0 for his last 13 with runners in scoring position.
Their team on this road trip, first 6 games of the road trip, they were 5 for 41 with runners in scoring position. That's a 122 mark. Their last 2 games, however, they've gone 6 for 19.
That's back up the middle, a base hit. Here comes Schneider around third, and there will be no throw from McLouth. 3 straight singles ties the game for the Phillies as Jason Worth comes through in the top of the third.
Throw the ball. You got the catcher running. Base hit up the middle. Schneider's got a bad Achilles. You got a pitcher running at second. He might make a mistake and round the bag too far, and you can cut it off and pick him off. But not when you stick it in your pocket. Cut it loose.
So 3 straight hits as Lowe to the stretch for the first time in this game in this third inning. The Phillies have taken advantage. Now Valdez bats. We told you, playing in place of Jimmy Rollins, he might be their hottest hitter. So, as fate would have it, Charlie Manuel's lineup card, Worth first, Valdez second, could pay big dividends for Philadelphia today. A bunt, and it's a beauty. Bases will be loaded. And now Chase Utley's coming up with the bases loaded.
tried to do this last night late, trying to get Chase Utley up there with some runners on, and was unsuccessful, but he gets it done today. The Phillies, in their last 10 games when they've really struggled mightily, have scored 3 runs or less in every game.
Utley this year, an uncharacteristic low batting average with runners in scoring position, just .250. And unless I'm reading this incorrectly, this is his first at bat this year with the bases loaded. He's not on the stat sheet as having an at bat with 3 men on in front of him. That's astounding too.
Yeah, it is.
And Roy Halladay has an at bat. The bases loaded, but Utley doesn't. Double play ball, maybe. There's one. There is 2. Utley's woes continue. A 4-6-3 double play to retire the side. Phillies get 4 straight singles and tie the game 1-1. The Atlanta Braves on Sports South are brought to you in part by Blimpie, by the Georgia Lottery, and by the Home Depot. Braves and Phillies tied at 1 as we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Great to see a nice crowd on an afternoon tilt in Atlanta. I don't know about you, but there has been a feeling of a buzz around the ballpark really all year long, and certainly during this homestand. The Braves playing good baseball.
I know Joe V, our producer Joe Vince, was talking last night about being around some people as Gloss hit his 3-run homer in the first, and people gathering around the TV sets to watch, see what was going to happen. Good crowd here last night, almost 30,000 for game 2 of this series. That's following the Memorial Day weekend. I thought that was a good turnout.
And the Braves players will tell you nothing generates excitement for them like excitement from you, the fans, at the ballpark, certainly watching on television, listening on the radio. Braves attendance this year is up 19% over last season. That is the second highest attendance increase in baseball. As McLeod down on strikes, a slider takes care of him. Only the Minnesota Twins have had a bigger increase, and they have a new ballpark, Joe.
Our Geico quote of the day comes from Tim Hudson about this team, Chip, and he says this year's team is my favorite one since I've been here. It's the best team chemistry and the best team personality. I think our good play on the field is because of our personality in the locker room. Very interesting. Everybody likes everybody. Everybody's getting along, pulling for one another.
And this is a likable club. I mean, there are a lot of great personalities, great stories, and certainly that man, one of the enduring storylines of this franchise, the iconic manager, Bobby Cox, that kid in right field, drawing a lot of interest, both locally and on a national basis. But we're in a results-oriented business. When your team wins, the bandwagon always has enough seats. And we hope that if you haven't made plans in the middle of the month to join us back at the ballpark for the Tampa Bay Rays and the Kansas City Royals. Rays will be playing 5 consecutive interleague series, starting with the end of our upcoming road trip. Then we go to the White Sox, and then come home to face the Tigers. Derek Lowe walks. And that's the first one of those from Kyle Kendrick. Your interleague matchups, there they are. The Rays, Royals, and Tigers are coming to town. Braves.com/tickets or 800-745-3000. The Rays are a real entertaining team to watch. Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers. And Ned Yost leading the Royals now has done a good job since taking over there.
Back to Derek Lowe. His pitchers are feeling a little pressure from Tim Hudson. You know, they got to try to carry the torch. Tim's got a hitting streak working. He's hitting close to 300, and Derek worked the count for a walk, so everybody's trying to pitch in now.
Here's Prado. He singled and scored the first Braves run. And takes a ball over.
Well, that scared me. I didn't see it called time. I just thought he threw the ball away. I was about to yell run.
One ball, no strikes. High and tight. Got away. Ball 2.
Yeah, that was mighty close. Yeah, when you've been hitting the ball as sharply to right field as Martin has, that's a pitcher's way of saying, give me part of the plate back.
This guy at the plate, though, is not going to give an inch, is he?
No.
He has just been amazing. 12 of his last 20 games have been multi-hit affairs. He has 23 of those. That's more than anybody else. He's got a 7-game hitting streak. He's got 72 hits. He's been great defensively. And in the story about Martin Prado, the gratitude that he felt and the pride that he had when he was given a chance to start at second base last year is so refreshing in this day and age of professional sports.
Anytime he speaks of his manager, he calls him Mr. Bobby Cox.
2-2.
Martin, sorry, Chip, last night he hit the ball hard 4 times, including his double his first time up, then had a sacrifice fly his last time up. And even when he was hitting the ball hard, he was upset with himself when he was making some outs and hitting the ball in the air. He wants to hit line drives.
When you play with George Brett, I want to be careful not to compare Prado to George Brett, but don't great hitters feel that there isn't a man in the world who can get them out?
Yes.
When they're going the way that Prado and George did?
Yeah, and typically they're right, at least for a guy like George Brett. There weren't too many guys that he struggled against. Good pitch.
And Prado thought that was low and outside. That's been called a couple of times. And Martin drops the bat in disappointment as Kendrick strikes out his 3rd man in this game.
Started it at the middle of the plate and it break to the outside corner. He made 2 outstanding pitches on Martin away after he had dusted him up and in.
Jason Hayward hit a ball down and in, served it into right field for a single. And now he hits a towering fly ball to right that Ben Francisco is going to catch. He just missed it. At the edge of the warning track, Hayward and the Braves are retired, and we've completed 3 in Atlanta. Kyle Kendrick up to his old tricks against the Braves. We're still tied at 1. Joe Torre's Dodgers are lying in wait out on the West Coast. Los Angeles, as we showed you, playing very good ball at Dodger Stadium. They're a game behind the San Diego Padres out west. We will join you from Chavez Ravine tomorrow night.
They have the same record as the Atlanta Braves coming into play today. And our Air Tran upcoming pitching probables. Medlin and Hideki Kuroda tomorrow night. Kuroda's 5-3. Kershaw 5-3 against Kawakami, who's looking for his first win. Hanson and Billingsley will be a good matchup on Saturday. Billingsley 6-2. And then Hudson against the kid Ely on the finale. Dodgers have got some good pitching.
And their closer's Jonathan Broxton, and he's had a terrific resurgent month of May.
Yeah, he may be pitcher of the month given his numbers.
So never easy to win out west. We'll try tomorrow as Ryan Howard foils a shift, and all of a sudden the Phillies starting to rediscover their hitting stroke. That's 5 hits in the game, all of them singles. And Howard, with only his 6th hit on this long Phillies road trip, is aboard to start the 4th.
They had 10 hits last night. 3 of them came in the 9th inning, and 5 of them were over the last 3 innings. So they're beginning to remember who they are.
Here's Francisco, struck out his first time up. Ben batting in the 5th spot for the first time this year. We mentioned Worth in the leadoff spot for the first as well for the Phillies today.
Good breaking ball from Derek. Out there on the bases with that hot helmet on for a while in the bottom half of the 3rd.
One ball, 2 strikes. Arizona and the Dodgers play at 3 o'clock our time. All the other National League action under the lights tonight. I'm sure Joe Torre and his staff are checking this game out as they prepare for the Diamondbacks today. Dodgers 17-8 at home, have won 3 in a row. And they've won their last 2 games in as odd a fashion as you can imagine. A pop up towards second. Prado checks the runner, makes sure he's hustling down the line. Thought about a double play, but Francisco is going to spoil that. Dodgers won a game against Arizona on a walk-off balk. And then last night got a 10th inning home run to extend the Diamondbacks' miseries to 9 in a row. 1 on, 1 out. Here's Ibanez. Raul fly to left, but maybe made the play of the game in taking back what would have been a Troy Glaus homer. Double play ball again. Escobar stays down. And Lowe getting that sinker to work with runners on base. That has saved him today. Second double play ball in as many innings. And the Braves and the Phillies still deadlocked. Our friends at Blimpie. Derek Lowe had the bases loaded but got a double play ball and allowed only 1 run in the Phillies' third. Braves scored a run in the first. Could have had another one off Kyle Kendrick, but Raul Ibanez leaped over the fence and kept it in play for a double. Now Chipper will start things, and he rockets a ball that had the ball boy handcuffed. He was really in between, didn't know what to do. On that sinking line drive.
Wasn't that a beautiful shot of the stadium? That overhead shot. Very nice today.
Two.
Chipper's getting a little over anxious. Getting a little out on his front foot some. That was a good changeup from Kendrick. Down and away will cause part of that. But there, look at Chipper's talking to himself. He's using his front hand to kind of remind him to stay back. Don't start drifting forward.
Jones down on strikes. 4 of those for Kendrick. This guy is some kind of tough against this Braves offense. Time now for a money and energy saving bright idea from Georgia Power. Change the air filters in your heating and cooling system regularly. Go to GeorgiaPower.com for more energy saving tips. Georgia Power is a Southern company. Kendrick now in 11 1/3 innings against the Braves has given up 7 hits and 1 run. And it was his start on April 20th that was won on that dramatic Nate McLouth home run off Contreras, who was closing that day. Troy Glaus and Jason Hayward homered off Madsen late. And he's looking like a man that wants to take this ball game deep.
Yeah, he's settled in after some troubles in the first 2 innings. Lucky that Ibanez saved a home run for him.
High ball, shallow center, playable for Jason Worth.
Chipper Jones came back to the dugout after his strikeout. He was getting some attention from Jim Lovell that also drew the attention of Bobby Cox. See how that plays out. Two days ago, Chipper was late coming out of the dugout between innings. He had some tape on that right ring finger and was removing it before he took the field, and that seems to be what he's paying attention to there. Gloss, his first time up, looked like he'd hit his 4th home run in 4 days. But Raul Ibanez not only prevented the home run, he almost caught the ball and held him to a double.
In Philly, that's about 30 rows up and left.
Yeah, it is.
So Kendrick thankful for that. 1 ball, 2 strikes, bases clear. Braves 4th, 1-1 game.
Don't go in there.
I think he's got that pitch covered.
Yep. If you go inside on Troy, you better have something on it.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Mentioned that in the last 10 games, the Phillies have scored 3 runs or less in every game, and one of those was enough to get a win for Kendrick in Florida. In his last start, he beat them 3-2. 6 innings, 2 unearned runs, and didn't walk anybody. So these Phillies pitchers know what they're up against. They've got to hold the other team down. And aside from the first inning runs, so far so good for Kendrick in that category.
We told you in our open, this guy's been awfully tough against the Braves in his career. Lifetime 4-1, an ERA of 2.72. That's 2 full runs below his career earned run average.
I think it's because he knows the Braves are, while they've been drawing a lot of walks this year, they're a team that if you're around the plate, they're going to be swinging. And his sinker and slider generate a lot of ground balls. And at least today, so far, some strikeouts, too.
He has struck out 4. He has not walked anybody. He's allowed 3 hits. And this will be the 9th pitch he's been forced to throw to Troy Gloss. And that one hit hard toward right. Francisco on the run, slowing at the fence. Hauls it in to retire the side.
That's a homer in Philly, too.
So Gloss has hit the ball a mile and is only 1 for 2 to show it. And we head to inning number 5, still a 1-1 game. Chipper Jones leaves this game.
And we showed you Chipper getting some attention, looks like, to his right ring finger. And he's going to be taken out of the lineup, and Omar Infante will take his place.
Let's see if Derek Lowe can have an easy fifth. Liner into the seats.
Oh, they are hacking at some first pitches.
Dobbs just 1 for 13 on this road trip. This is a man that's always enjoyed hitting at Turner Field. He's got a very high batting average in this park. And as we told you earlier, Dobbs playing third base for Placido Polanco, who had a cortisone shot in his elbow. He is hoping to be ready to play on Friday for the Phillies. Placido was hit by a Tim Hudson pitch earlier and really hasn't been right since. In the air toward left. One man down. Dobbs is 0 for 2. Here's Brian Schneider, the first hit of the day for Philadelphia. A single up the middle, and he scored their lone run.
It's the only inning that Derek has really had to work too hard. A couple of double plays have helped him. A couple of double plays have helped Kendrick too.
Brian hitting .208 this season. You mentioned his left Achilles problem. That sidelined him on May the 9th. The Phillies aren't Brian's first major league rodeo, but he hasn't followed Horace Greeley's advice. He doesn't go west. He's played his whole career in the East. As Schneider. The Expos, the Nationals, the Mets, and now the Phillies.
Always a good receiver, always a good, I'll call it a teacher of pitchers. I mean, he helps young pitchers a lot. Kind of like having a pitching coach on the field.
No balls, 2 strikes. Carlos Ruiz is the main catcher for the Phillies. Gets a day off after the night game last night. Pitcher Kyle Kendrick waits next. And now a 1-2 count. Lowe wanted that pitch.
That looked like the one to Hinsky. Right at the target too. Fox Tracks tells us it was a little in off the plate.
So how much conversation's going on between Brian McCann and Jeff Kellogg after that pitch?
Probably, and Brian does a good job of that without ever turning around to show the umpire up. And really all he would need to say is, that was a good pitch, Jeff.
Now, as a hitter, are you allowed to say, no, it wasn't?
Oh, I did many times.
That one is caught on and missed. 4 strikeouts for Derek Lowe. Bases cleared, 2 outs.
Here's the up-to-the-date standings coming into play today. The American in the National League East, the Atlanta Braves on top by 1.5 games. It's tightly bunched, only 4.5 games separating all the teams. And here's the upcoming games for the other teams in the division, and it's not easy. The Phillies with the Padres, Marlins, and Red Sox. Then the Yankees after that. Marlins have Mets, Phillies, and the very good Tampa team coming in to play them. Mets have 2 tough teams, and then the Orioles. Nationals, the first place team in the Reds, and then they get a break with the Pirates and Indians, at least record wise. I'd have to say, of the 4, the Washington Nationals have the easier schedule coming up, but everybody's got a tough road ahead of them.
Yeah, the Last thing the Phillies, I'm sure, want to see, even going home, is that Padres pitching staff. Great matchup on Friday for them. It's Latos versus Halladay, Garland, Moyer, Kevin Correa, Joe Blanton, then Wade LeBlanc and Cole Hamels. And you mentioned the Nationals. June 8th, it's Strasburg time. That's when he's going to pitch against the Pirates.
Well, that Latos-Halladay matchup will be a good one.
Three balls, 2 strikes to the pitcher, Kyle Kendrick. A slug bunt earned him a hit and helped prolong the Phillies' third. And Lowe struck, came out. Kendrick thought he coaxed a walk, but Derek Lowe has his 5th strikeout in this game. Sends it to the bottom of the 5th inning. Still tied. Braves and Phillies, log on to foxsportssouth.com. Lots of fans are chatting away in the game lounge. There's also exclusive photos, behind the scenes footage on foxsportssouth.com. Nobody covers your team like our team. Arakinski will start the 5th. He disputed a called 3rd strike in his first at bat. Well, he does have a good changeup.
Well, and he's got a great motion on it. You know, nothing changes from his fastball release, slider release, or his changeup, and that motion is what throws everything off timing-wise for the hitter. This guy started the year last year in AAA. They were a little upset, if not disgusted, with him because he hadn't really taken a step forward last year at age 24. They thought he was ready to step in and be like their number 3 starter, but it never came to fruition. He finally got called up late in the year, and this year earned a job at 25.
That is just foul at first. And I would imagine for the Phillies, the reason for that optimism, you won 11 games in 08.
Arakinski seems to miss out on some hot shots down the first base line quite often because of the way he turns on the ball and hooks it.
Howard takes a convenient hop and wins the race to the bag. 6 up and 6 men down for Yunel Escobar, who was robbed last time.
When the first baseman gives you the sign that he's going to cover first, like Howard did there, it's best to kind of just get out of the way if you're the pitcher. Kendrick almost put himself in a real bad position there of getting between Ryan Howard and Eric Hensky. That's not a good place to be when they're both running full steam. Get out of the way. And Ryan had to pull up and almost ran into his pitcher. Now Kendrick's 27 and 16 in his big league career. That's a good mark.
High to right, and Francisco handles that cleanly. 7 in a row are set down. Base is clear. Yeah, you'd hate to see teams give up on pitchers when they're 22, 23 years old, 24 in the case of Kendrick.
Well, they just had to wait for him to, I don't want to say toughen up, but decide that he had enough confidence in himself that he could handle it. His fastball, his sinker's at anywhere from 89 to 93. That's a good hard sinker. Slider as high as 83 miles an hour. And a cutter to go with it.
And in their ballpark, guys that can sink the ball like he can are at a premium.
Very valuable. For a guy like Kendrick, who's now 25, he could learn a lot from Roy Halladay, because Halladay pitches in a similar fashion. Hard sinking action, good slider, changeup. A valuable resource for him.
Imagine that's like what things were like when the Braves had Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz. All those youngsters coming up, they were smart. They just sit next to him and soak it up. Two balls, 2 strikes. He's trying to live on that inside corner to the lefties, hasn't he?
Well, they've been living in on Nate's hands. They've tried to challenge him in there off the plate, and he's had a hard time laying off that pitch, but able to run the count full on that one.
And Nate McLouth walks with 2 outs and the pitcher behind. So Kendrick, not giving in to McLouth, allows the Braves to clear the pitcher here in this 5th inning. Derek earned the first walk against him today. That came with 1 out in the 3rd.
At the very least, make him throw another pitch or 2.
Yeah.
You know, if you're Derek, I wouldn't be in any hurry to swing at the first pitch. Kendrick's only thrown 68 pitches. Get him up over 70 anyway.
He does swing at the first pitch.
Or never mind.
Don't you hate it when they don't follow the script? McLouth left stranded at first. We've completed 5 on a hot, muggy day in Atlanta. Good ball game, 1-1 score. Atlanta today, 1-1 score as we head to the 6th inning. Our broadcast on Sports South presented in beautiful high definition by our friends at HH. Greg, good ball game. Lowe and Kendrick trying to put their teams in the win column today. And while Derek warms up, let's check out our AT&T trivia question.
I bet we get it today.
We've been on a roll, haven't we?
Yeah, we got one in a row, I think.
That's a roll for us.
Last Braves second baseman to be named to consecutive All-Star teams. Marcus Giles.
Brett Boone.
Boone was only here 1 year, wasn't he? I don't think it's Brett.
Jason Worth will go to work first. An RBI single for him. Brought home the catcher, Brian Schneider. The ball was hit pretty solidly. Foul charged, but elected not to throw to the plate. That was the third or fourth straight Philly hits against the Braves starter, Derek Lowe, today.
Yeah, I kind of shouted out there, throw the ball on that play, and mostly in, hey, you never know if you might get the guy, if he's going to fall down or slip or anything, but you know for sure he's going to score if you never throw.
Toward third and foul. Remember, Omar Infante checked in for Chipper.
This was the play that drove in the run. You had a catcher running with a bad Achilles tendon, and Nate chose not to try and throw him out. Had the pitcher running behind the catcher, so he wasn't going anywhere. And even if you throw to the plate, maybe the pitcher does round the back too far and you pick him off. You just got to know who's running, know the situation, and be able to have enough confidence that you can hit the cutoff man and then let it be handled from there.
Worth was wailing away on a 3-1 count and popped it foul. Phillies have scored 3 or less in 10 straight games. Last time they've had a run this long was back in 1997. They did it 11 straight.
Did you read that note about the Braves and their media notes today about
scoring 7, allowing 3?
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. Over a 7-game stretch, the Braves have scored 5 or more runs while allowing 3 or fewer runs, and according to Elias, that ties the longest streak of that type in National League history. Giants did it in 1990.
Off the foot of Lowe, and it bounces right to second. Wow. When you're snake bit, that's the kind of stuff that happens. And Derek, with the ultimate kick save and a beauty, keeps Worth off the bases.
Reminded me a lot of Antti. No, not any relation, just the goalie for the Blackhawks. It's our Toyota Tacoma play of the game. Nice ricochet. 1-4-3 on the out. And when you're going bad, things like that happen.
I just thought that your aunt played second base.
Yeah, Antti.
But a good sign for the Phillies. Worth's hit the ball hard twice. And a better sign for the Braves. They retired him to start the 6th. Here's Wilson Valdez.
There's been some leather lung fan here for the last 2 days. It's been cracking me up. Yelling Wilson like from the movie Castaway.
It was on last night, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. He's been cracking me up.
One ball, one strike. Pitches for Lowe on a muggy day. E2 starting to settle in on the mound. Toward third, Infante gives ground.
Nice play. Wasn't an easy one. Martin had to back up a step and then be ready to play whatever came his way hop-wise, and it came up pretty high for him. I said Martin, I meant Omar, of course.
Hope Chipper's not hurt too badly. He had ring finger right hand.
Yes.
And immediately your first thought is, okay, how does that affect him at the plate? But don't forget, got to throw. Not a DH in the National League, so that's part of the issue as well. As Utley takes a strike. Chase grounded out in the first inning and batted with the bases loaded for the first time all year in the third.
Incredible.
And hit into a double play.
And the better changeups from Derek. A beauty. What a good spot, too. Just off the plate.
Back up the middle. Escobar somehow maintained his composure. That ball popped out of his glove and bounced right back to him. He was positioned perfectly, and Utley has been robbed not once but twice in this game. A fortunate bounce. We'll see if the Braves can take advantage time.
Long drive to left in the second inning by Troy Gloss, and Raul Ibanez goes up over the fence, has it in the web of his glove, but when he brings it back, can't quite hang on to it, but at least saved a run and held Troy to a double. That's Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. That was also the Braves' last hit.
Maybe until now. Valdez couldn't glove it cleanly. Now Jack Wilkinson, the fine official scorer in Atlanta, will have a decision to make. Hit or error?
I'm sure he'll see that as a hit. Guy had too far to go to make a routine play, and it is a base hit for Martin, and yet another multi-hit game for him, and a good start to the Braves' sixth.
So another multi-hit game for Prado. That's 13 of 21 with 2 or more hits. And 73 in total as Hayward bats with a man aboard.
Come on, Jason.
Braves hit and run in the first inning on the first pitch to Jason. It worked perfectly. Set them up for their first run of the day, their only run of the day.
Talk about hitting the jackpot. Our friends at Georgia Lottery always happy when Martin Prado has 2 or more hits. And a put that in perspective, the Braves this year now have 115 multi-hit games. Our team's got 24 of them.
He's at the top of the league in hitting.
Next on the list is the man in the batter's box, Jason Hayward, with 15.
They're trying real hard to keep him from getting his arms extended too. Trying to keep it in tight on him.
That's one of the things I think that makes Jason so tough. You mentioned the hit and run play. That pitch was down and in. He was strong enough to muscle it over Utley's head for a clean hit. Where do you go to get this kid out?
Not just one place. Good try there by Kendrick to go away off the plate after getting ahead in the count. But I don't think there's any one way to do it. You've got to keep changing it up. But you've also got to be aware that on occasion today, Jeff Kellogg has called that inside corner even a little off the plate inside.
Double play ball hit towards short. Utley will dance across the bag and retire Jason Hayward. Slickly turned 6-4-3 double play. Brings up Omar Infante with 2 out.
Chase had to hustle over there. Had a long way to go, and that's why he had to jump and throw after he gloved it. Didn't have really time to plant and throw back and get Hayward the way he was getting down the line. But another good pitch by Kendrick. Tied him up inside, jammed him, and got him to hit it at somebody.
We talked about the effect that Roy Halladay has had on the other pitchers on this Phillies ball club. Kendrick has helped Halladay along too. As a line drive tries to split the gap in left. Worth hustles over to cut it off, and he will do so. But Kyle Kendrick was experimenting this spring with a split finger grip on his changeup. Roy Halladay never really had a comfortable grip with that pitch. So Kendrick passed it along to Halladay, who's incorporated that in his pitching style. But the bigger question is, where did Kendrick get his grip? It originated with Tim Hudson, who passed it along to Justin Lear, who was a teammate with Kendrick at AAA Lehigh Valley last year.
And somewhere Kevin Bacon's involved.
It's 6 degrees of separation. That's right. As McCann hits with Infante aboard and 2 outs. But you hitters all talk and share your secrets. Pitchers do the same thing. You just hope it doesn't come back and bite you at some point.
Well, you're always willing and able to help pitchers on your team. You just never know where they're going to wind up and how they might influence an opponent someday.
That's hooked down the right field line, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. McCann's played Pepper with Jason Worth twice. He's fly down to center. Brian, by the way, 4th in the latest All-Star balloting among National League catchers. Yadier Molina 1st, Carlos Ruiz 2nd, Pudge Rodriguez of the Nationals 3rd.
Phillies trying to keep Omar close over there, but he has a very short lead at the moment. Just a step or 2 off the bag when Kendrick threw over that time.
Outfield very deep, playing no doubles with 2 outs and a man aboard. 1-1 game. Another ominous stat about Kendrick. When he goes 6 or more, he's 3-0 this year, with an ERA under 2. And here he is, allowing 1 run through 5 2/3 today. He's had his A stuff again against Atlanta.
get those goggles cleaned off after that swing.
Ooh, that just missed.
But runs the count full, and that gives Infante a head start from first, and Howard will play behind him.
How about a gapper with 2 outs? That would be nice. That'll scatter the mates at the end of the Braves dugout.
There was somebody up there next to Terry Pendleton that was heading for lower ground, and it looks like it was that Matt.
Yep.
Matt Diaz trying to get his already casted hand out of the way.
I was going to say we could recognize his thumb.
Good swing.
Brian 1 for 7 in this series. Again, Infante off to the races, and a bouncing ball foul past Howard. Oh, and the ball boy again couldn't handle a tricky bounce.
Bad hop.
Nine pitch at bat for McCann continues. High fly ball to right. And Kyle Kendrick is through 6 innings, allowing only 1 run to this red-hot Atlanta offense. Good ball game. Lowe, Kendrick. We'll see a 7th inning tie. House enjoying a cold beverage or two. Time to answer our AT&T trivia question. Chase Utley's made 4 straight All-Star teams. Who was the last Braves second baseman named to consecutive All-Star squads?
I'm going to say Marcus Giles. You got to go back a ways. No, and that one year that Marcus, I think he was voted in. Remember, it was when he had that collision with Mark Pryor that knocked him out of the All-Star game because of the concussion.
Well, was that ever a franchise-changing play for the Cubs? Fire was never the same. Howard swings and misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. Howard has singled in 2 trips today. Derek Lowe, rolling merrily along, has retired 8 straight men, trying to get through 7 innings for the 3rd time in his last 4 starts.
That's a case where you show the outside pitch. I'm not sure he meant for it to go out that far outside, but it was a good idea because Howard looked like he was trying to beat the shift by going the other way, but he couldn't reach it.
And again, Lowe goes down and away with that turbo sinker, and 9 straight Phillies have been sent down. Derek has his 6th strikeout as we look at how this game has moved along to the 7th inning. Excellent pitching on getaway day. Chipper Jones left with an injury. Jason Worth appears to be snapping out of it. 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 very hard hit balls. Here's Ben Francisco, Phillies right fielder.
Dave Baker reminds me of another collision that Marcus lost. Remember when he ran into Andrew Jones out in shallow center field in Milwaukee and got wiped out. Marcus wasn't shy, that's for sure. He wasn't going to give up on anything.
One ball, 2 strikes.
Derek is sharp today, man.
6 strikeouts, a season high.
Well, think about the run they got. Started when Schneider rolled a ground ball up the middle for a base hit. Kendrick with the bunt attempt and then chopped one past Chipper. Worth's base hit that drove in the run was a ground ball up the middle. No line drives mixed in there anywhere.
And he looks like a much different pitcher than April.
Braves defense has been well aligned today too. Taking away hits from Utley.
That's 7 strikeouts for Lowe. And he's set down 10 consecutive men.
Somebody said the other day about Tim Hudson that he's pitching like the Tim Hudson of 2001. And his power sinker and changeup and split back. Derek Lowe today's pitching like the Derek Lowe that we remember 3 or 4 years ago in L.A. when he was such a force and so intimidating.
Lowe's career high in strikeouts is 11. That was done in 2007 against the Angels. Gotti Banez hit into a double play back in the 4th inning, and that was the frame the Phillies last had a base runner. So all of a sudden you have Lowe dealing, you have Tim Hudson red hot. Chris Medlin's been very aggressive in his work as a starter. Tommy Hanson, once he settles in, has been tough. Speaking of tough play at Fonte as he drifts out and makes the play, and Derek Lowe has retired 11 in a row. The pitching's been terrific. The offense has been brilliant. Can they come through after a stretch in the 7th? 1-1 game.
Tie game 1-1, bottom of the 7th inning. Time for the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast. And boy, Derek Lowe has been blasting away today at the Philadelphia Phillies. He's retired 11 in a row. He's only thrown 97 pitches. He's struck out 7. Has not walked a batter. He has been sharp as attack. He's gotten some help defensively. A couple of double plays turned behind him. And has allowed only the 1 run, and that was back in the 3rd inning. That's the Coors Light Cold Hard Blast from Derek Lowe today.
Well, this is the man that's had 2 of the best at-bats of the day against Kyle Kendrick. That's Troy Gloss. He flied to deep right to end the 4th. He doubled in the 2nd. As we said, that was nearly a home run, and that's turned out to be as big a play as we thought it might be. And he hits another towering fly ball. This one, however, is playable for Ibanez. 1 down in the last of the 7th inning. Purchase $125 or more in regularly priced Braves merchandise for the Braves Clubhouse store at CNN Center, and you'll get a Stars and Stripes beach towel as a gift while supplies last. For more information, visit the Braves Clubhouse store at CNN Center or call 404-523-5854. 1 out for Hinsky. Pop fly again to left.
Credit to Kendrick today also with the way he's mixed his pitches. He's kept the ball down. Only 1 real pitch that I remember up, and it was the first hit to Prado in the 1st inning that was looked like a hanging slider. But everything else he's kept down in the strike zone, and that has made him that much tougher.
If you take away his 8-inning start against the Pirates and his 8-inning start against the Braves back on April 20th. That ball hammered toward left center field. Pretty well hit. Worth slowing and reaching for it makes the play. And a 4-pitch inning retires the Braves in the 7th. Other than those 2 8-inning starts, Kendrick has been clobbered. He's allowed 4 runs or more in 5 separate games, but not today.
You stay tuned after the game as Sports South is debuting At Home with Tim Hudson. You don't want to miss this exclusive sit-down interview with the Braves ace. It starts immediately after the game right here on Sports South. We had a great time doing that at his new place down in Hurtsboro, Alabama. And it is a beautiful thing to see. Great place for he and Kim and the kids. And hope you enjoy it.
Hopefully it'll come after a Braves win as Greg Dobbs starts off the 8th inning for the Phillies. Braves bullpen is busy. Should Derek have any trouble, this will be his last inning. His spot's due second Wearing the Braves bat in the bottom half of the frame. Lowe has retired 11 consecutive men. He has struck out a season high 7. Peter Moylan's in the Braves bullpen. Jose Contreras is up in the Phillies bullpen.
Derek's only thrown over 100 pitches twice this year. His second start. And then also, and that was 112. That was a season high against the Giants. And then 102 against the Cardinals at St. Louis on April 27th. He did not throw as many as 100 pitches in any of his starts in May.
And this pitch is number 101.
It's interesting, too, that we've talked all year about how his spot in the rotation has been the one that's been the most generous in terms of run support. But today he's been matched pitch for pitch by Kyle Kendrick.
Well, the Phillies keep on searching for that outside pitch from their left-hand hitters. They've either missed it or they've done what Dobbs just did all day today.
Remember, Dobbs chased one on a 3-2 count. It was back in the 3rd inning.
Here it's a 2-2. And he spoiled it.
Dobbs has been an outstanding pitch hitter over the last 2 or 3 years for the Phillies, and his strength is down and in. If you think you've got him leaning out over the plate and want to come down and in, you better bury it in there.
Yeah, he and Matt Stairs for the 08 and 09 seasons were a really deadly pinch hit combo available for Jerry Manuel. Stairs, the grip it and rip it, hit it 8 miles kind of guy. Dobbs with power too, but much higher batting average than Stairs. This year, though, it's been a rough year, hitting a .132. And now a full count with nobody on or out. Phillies have Shane Victorino lurking on their bench. They have Brian Schneider in the on-deck circle. Keep that in mind as we continue on. Up the middle, Prado can't get it. They were playing Dobbs to pull, and that extra step sends Lowe to the stretch for the first time since the 4th inning.
And again, it's just a ground ball. Bouncer that found the hole. Started to say earlier the Braves have been perfectly aligned for Chase Utley, with Escobar playing him up the middle. He's taken a couple of hits away from him. At that time, just out of the reach of Prado.
So how will Charlie Manuel play it here? You've got the pitcher spot up next, but you do have a pretty good bench.
You've got some options today with Victorino and Ruiz, Castro over there.
Some of it might be dictated by the heavy workload turned in by Charlie's bullpen last night.
Yeah, that's something else Kendrick has done for them, and all those guys that had to work from the 1st inning on have gotten a respite.
He's bunting, and it's a beauty. So Brian Schneider sacrifices Dobbs into scoring position. And now Kyle Kendrick will head back to the Phillies dugout, and that's great news for the Braves as well as he pitched today. That guy was outstanding. And lead Ross glowed, it would appear, for the Philly pitcher Kyle Kendrick.
A guy who's used to coming up in this situation. Signed by the Phillies last year as a free agent because of his good work with the Marlins in 09 off the bench, and this year he's 5 for 23 off the bench with 2 homers.
Fine outing for Kendrick, 7 innings, 5 hits. He allowed 1 run, a couple of walks, and I've got him for 4 strikeouts.
And he set down 13 of the last 16 he faced.
So Globe becomes the key man in the inning. And Derek jumps ahead with a strike. Lowe 5 for 23 as a pinch hitter, 2 homers. As Joe mentioned, he's used to coming off the bench. He's been pretty good. Umpires in the crowd wanted that call. 2 balls and a strike. Bouncing ball to short. Escobar will take care of Glode. Runner to third with 2 outs, and Worth, the hitter. Valdez, the shortstop, will come on deck.
Kind of a tricky spot here, and that has to do with Jason Worth batting in the leadoff spot today. Derek Lowe's calling somebody out of the dugout. Jim Lovell. See what happens here. Roger McDowell coming out too. He's waving off Bobby Cox. Maybe he just wanted to talk to Roger.
How can you not want to talk to Jim Lovell?
Bobby just kind of want to know, well, I want to know what's going on. But maybe they're talking about this tricky spot here. Could be. Jason Worth, typically a middle of the order hitter. I know he's been going through a rough patch here, but he has hit the ball sharply a couple of times today, including one right off of Lowe's foot his last time up that went right to Prado. And then you got Wilson Valdez, who has been a guy who's hit down in the bottom of the order and lately has been hitting second. He's got a hit today and has been somewhat hot, but he's certainly not the run producer that Jason Worth is.
Decision made. They'd rather pitch to Valdez than Worth, who, despite his woes, as you said, has hit the ball hard. Remember, there's that kick save by Lowe in the 6th inning that retired Jason, leading off the 6th inning. So 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. Intentional pass. Tell you how good Derek's stuff has been today. That's his first walk. And he's a man that in May walked 13 guys, struck out 17. It's been the other way in a good way for him. 7 strikeouts and only 1 walk, and now Valdez the key man in this 8th inning. 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. And a good start. Went right after him. Strike 1.
Valdez just 6 for 21 with runners in scoring position. Not all that bad. A .286 average coming into play today.
He tried to punt again and fouled it away. Not a bad idea. And Lowe ahead 0-2.
Well, that was doing him a favor. That was doing Derek a favor. This looks pretty good with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. Looks outstanding, actually. But when you bunt with 1 strike and don't get it down, now you got a fight on your hands. And that works to Derek's favor. He's got a couple of pitches here he can play with to try to get Valdez to chase.
Nearly hit him inside. Maybe that sets up the outside corner. You don't want to get too cute because sooner or later Utley's going to hit, and he waits next. Popped him up. who wants it. It'll be McLouth. He takes over, and Derek Lowe has pitched himself a beauty. He's through 8 innings in Atlanta. First time since May of last year against the Rockies. And the Braves bats come up, looking to take a 1-run lead.
Jason Hayward and the Braves take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Braves, Dodgers, tomorrow at 9:30 in HD on Sports South.
Great game today. Tied going to the bottom of the 8th inning. After the game, the Braves head west and begin their longest road trip of the year. It'll start in Los Angeles, where the Dodgers have a very good home record and a record equal to the Braves at the beginning of play today at 30-22. And look, they've been hot, 19 out of 25. Ethier just came back off the disabled list, having a great year. Then it's on to Phoenix to take on the Diamondbacks. Not so good for the Diamondbacks, as they've lost their last 9 straight. Just a 190 team batting average there. And then to Minneapolis, where we get to see target field for the first time. Minnesota, one of the best teams in baseball, playing great at home and the best record in interleague play since 2006. So that'll be a challenge, too.
Speaking of challenges, Jose Contreras, the acting closer for the Phillies, is in for the 8th inning. And here's a spot where the Braves would love to see history repeat itself.
Yeah.
One of the more memorable hits in what has been a memorable first 2 months. On April 20th, when Nate McLouth did this.
It was a walk-off in the 10th. I think it was the first pitch of the inning, too. And no one to greet him. Where's everybody? There you are.
One ball, one strike. Nate has struck out and walked. And if you remember on that replay, whatever it was Contreras threw at him, it was belt high, and he whacked it.
Can't make a mistake out over the plate to Nate.
First,
Brad Lidge back. Contreras can move back into the 8th inning role, and Lidge can work the 9th. He's one of the only guys that didn't pitch yesterday, Lidge.
He looked good, though, in the first game of this series, didn't he?
Yes,
Looked like the old Brad Lidge.
He did. Had a 1-2-3 inning.
And what's been a remarkable career for this man, Contreras, first 3 saves of his life have come for the Phillies. And he's behind 3-1. And that wasn't even close. Nate McLouth has walked twice in this game. And Melky Cabrera bats for Derek Lowe. Let's give Derek a run.
Melky more than likely bunting, and he has 4 sacrifice bunts on the year. Only McLeod has more among position players.
That's upstairs. 1 ball, no strikes. 2 schools of thought. You can give up a run for the sacrifice. You could also try a straight steal from McLeod. Schneider's thrown out only 2 of 11 would-be base stealers this year. Braves showed bunt with the first pitch. Will it stay on? Won't matter if Contreras doesn't throw a strike.
Yeah, and he only threw 2/3 of an inning yesterday or last night, and that was a double play ball. So it wasn't like he had to work extended hours last night when the Phillies had to go to their bullpen in the first inning. Rich Doobie out to try to get Contreras back on track. Phillies bullpen has pitched the fewest innings in the National League, coming in at 128 2/3 innings. So their starting pitchers have been giving them some innings, and that figures with the likes of Roy Halladay, Hamels, and Kendrick. Joe Blanton too, for that matter.
Yeah, Halladay has 5 complete games among the 11 that he started. You got Hamels, you got Blanton, you've got Moyer, Kendrick today. So you're right, their starters have carried the load. There's the bunt on a 2-0 count. And Contreras will make the peg to first with a reach from Utley. Good sacrifice. Go-ahead run in scoring position for the top of this Braves order, and that's Martin Prado, who's 2 for 3 today.
Prado's good numbers continue right on into hitting with scoring position at 320. And he's tough to pitch to. You don't know how to defend him here. And there's room on the right side where Utley's trying to hold the runner close.
And with that right-hand stroke and that right field stroke for Prado in mind, look at where Francisco is playing. He is shaded toward the right field line by a good 10 yards.
And he's got a good arm. Worth has a good arm. Ibanez in left has an average arm. Worth the best arm of the 3.
1-0 count. Cue shot. Evens it up. The heart is willing, but the backside isn't when a guy throws as hard as he does.
Yeah, and he's got a good split finger too. That he always starts with a split finger grip.
Over the inside corner, and that might have been a split. That was a nasty pitch. 2 out.
Here's the hole at bat. Couldn't get him to chase on that first one, and then an off-speed pitch got him to swing. Dropped down, and then whatever that was, it did have some movement, some downward movement. If it was a split, it was a good one.
Well, how about this sign of respect? Jason Hayward, who's been such a clutch hitter after the 7th inning for Atlanta, will be walked intentionally. And the Phillies will take their chances with Omar Infante, who checked in the 5th inning.
They had J.C. Romero in their bullpen ready to go, but they've elected to go right-hander to right-hander instead. Infante has seen Contreras a lot in the American League. 35 at bats, 7 for 35 with a couple of homers and 3 doubles.
Remember, Contreras was a starting pitcher in his early days in the major leagues, and that's one reason why they walk Hayward. As you look at our Airtran home run leaders, those are all veterans on that list. Hayward's a rookie.
A lot of clutch hitting.
Here's an area where the lineup card, the way it's composed at the start of a game, really makes the other manager do some pondering. Braves go left, right, all the way up and down this order. They now have Infante backed up by Brian McCann. Contreras throws him a strike.
Omar likes to pull the ball, and Contreras is going to make it as hard as possible for him to pull it with either his split or that sidearm slider.
Huge hole right side on the infield. And that at 96, knee high outside corner.
He's found a fountain of youth in Philadelphia, that's for sure.
A 2-strike pitch. Schneider lucky to get a glove on that ball. 1-2 now.
Still in the driver's seat, Contreras. Still got to guard the plate if you're Infante. And I just don't expect them to throw him anything middle of the plate in, but they are. Surprising. Pressure big time on the defense. If you just put it in play here.
And that's been a problem for the Phillies during this rough patch. Breaking ball, and he almost hooked that down the line fair.
Oh, he sure did. Made a mistake with that one, left it up. Oh, boy. Again, Martin likes to pull. Omar likes to pull the ball in the middle of the plate away is where Contreras wants to go.
Now the advantage swings back to Atlanta. The runners can move with a full count, 2 outs.
Now the infielders, even on a ground ball, they know they don't have the luxury of even a bobble. And a bad throw might cost them the ball game.
The Phillies do have a base with which to work. And they have Romero ready for McCann if it gets to that point. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners go, right, base hit! Braves have the lead on a 2-strike, 2-out hit from Infante.
That's just flat out good hitting, Chip. That was a great at bat by Omar. Comes in for Chipper, gets 2 hits, and gets the Braves on top here on a 3-2 slider. Out away from him, and maybe he was ready for something middle of the plate away, because that was the place they needed to go to try to get him out. If they make a mistake inside, it might be more than 1 run. What a job by Infante.
He's the guy that's going to get the headlines, but let's not forget, for the second time on his homestand, Nate McLeod with an 8th inning walk scores a big run for Atlanta. Contreras has served up the go-ahead run in the Atlanta 8th. By Academy Sports and Outdoors, by Airtran Airways, and by Verizon.
Braves have taken a 2-1 lead here in the bottom of the 8th. Still have runners on the corners with 2 out. Time for our Toyota Tundra hardest working player. And how about this? Troy Gloss has been named the National League Player of the Month for the month of May. That was a hard working month. Check out these numbers. 28 RBIs for the month of May. That led the National League. An on-base percentage of over 400. Quite a month of May, and he was so honored as the National League Player of the Month just announced.
So congratulations to Troy Gloss, who's in the on-deck circle behind Brian McCann, who would love to provide some insurance in this 8th inning. But J.C. Romero has been his personal kryptonite. Brian 1 for 13 against him.
Faced him last night. Got Brian to pop up. Fouled it down the right field line. Romero worked a full inning last night. Just can't say enough about the great at bat by Infante.
From 0-2 to 3-2. Phillies know he likes to pull the ball, and shot a single over the outstretched arm of Chase Utley, who did everything he could to flag that ball down. And McLeod, who started the inning with a walk, galloped home to put the Braves in front. A fly ball to right should be caught by Ben Francisco. Braves have taken another late lead. Another big hit from the Braves reserves. Omar Infante takes over for Chipper at third, and he shoots a gapper into right center field to give Atlanta a 1-run lead. He called to the bullpen. Enter Sandman Billy Wagner. Makes the long, slow walk to the center of the diamond, and then the long jog. He's got a tough ninth ahead of him. Utley, Howard, Francisco Ardu tried to preserve a sweep, a perfect homestand, and a 2-1 lead for Derek Lowe.
And Billy Wagner's been getting a lot of work lately. This is his 5th game out of the last 7 days, as he goes for his 9th save. And he does have to face the heart of their order.
And Utley and Howard have seen Billy a lot, and they've had pretty good success. Hello. 97. Think Billy's pumped up?
Utley 4 for 12 against him in his career. Howard saw him last night, grounded out. He's 3 for 13.
Derek Lowe went 8. 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk. It was intentional. And the bat hasn't moved from Utley's shoulder yet.
He was sitting on a slider, looked like. Coach playing him up the middle again defensively with Escobar. He's taken a couple of hits away from Utley up the middle today already. Utley likes the ball down and in, and he can turn on just about anybody, even Billy Wagner.
Broke his bat. Infante makes the play. There's the first in the 9th inning. Utley 0 for 4.
That was a series of some of the best fastballs Billy's thrown in a while. None of them were less than 96 miles an hour. And if you saw Chase Utley, a pretty good indication of how much stuff he had on those pitches.
And you know, Billy relishes chances to save games against the Phillies. Ryan Howard stands in 1 for 3. Shift on. Pop foul for a strike.
This is what Howard did last night as soon as Billy came in to try to finish this game up, but with Howard representing the tying run. Howard was up there hacking, and he was swinging hard. And again, he represents the tying run.
Ryan 3 for 13 against Wagner. He has a double. He has 7 strikeouts. Tight ball 2. Braves outfield very deep, left to right. Melky Cabrera, Nate McLeod, Jason Hayward. Shift on the infield. 3 defenders on the first base side of second. And he hits it right into the teeth of that shift. Well, you mentioned it, Joe. The Braves defensively have had Utley and Howard mumbling to themselves all series long.
Yeah, they've had them defense perfectly. If you're just playing it straight there, that ball's up the middle for a base hit. But with the shift on, it is right at, you know.
That didn't miss him by much.
I don't know how it did miss him. Victorino has a bat, he's in the on-deck circle. If Francisco reaches.
Let's worry about Shane Victorino. July 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's the next time the Braves see the Phillies. And we won't see him again until the final 2 weeks of the regular season.
Last time the Braves had an 8-game winning streak was July of 2003. It's been a while. Well, one more out to get.
You can hear Billy's fastball sizzling even from upstairs. He's behind 3-1. And we will have to see Victorino as Francisco coaxes a 2-out walk. So Victorino for Ibanez. Ibanez a left-hand hitter. Victorino switch hits. And he's 2 for 7 against Billy with a double, and has only struck out once in those 7 at-bats.
Expect him to be aggressive early in the count, too. Good fastball hitter.
$26,309 at the ballpark. Many of them on their feet, hoping to see Wagner close off a perfect homestand for the Braves. Looking fastball, got the hook instead for a strike.
Good first pitch to him. Braves have handled him over the last 2 years, but don't make a mistake up. Good high ball hitter from both sides of the plate. Listen to these fans.
Up back toward us, and Victorino still alive, 0-2. Plenty of room on this Braves bandwagon, folks. 11-game road trip starts tomorrow in LA. We're back in town June 15th. Please make your plans to join us. Excitement back at Turner Field this year. Now the 0-2. It's a sweep and a perfect ending to a perfect homestand. The Braves have opened up a 2.5-game lead over the Phillies. A perfect 6-0 homestand. They beat them 2-1. Your final score. Back to talk about it from Turner Field in Atlanta. And hopefully a chat with that man, Omar Infante, after this.